Hello, peeps. Thanks very much for tuning in again to Solar Foods Media. Nothing but love for you, for real. Nothing but love for you. So, today we're going to grade this short clip of a short vampire film. Now, before anybody asks, no, not a film about short vampires. Although, that'd actually be a thing these days now, wouldn't it? But no, we're going to grade these clips, we're going to push them into the same world. I'm going to give you a step-by-step, play-by-play, and a reasoning and the technique that I use to grade these clips. But there's going to be a big difference today. See, usually a colour grading artist goes into the grade with an image in mind, an inspiration that they've got floating about their head, or maybe a specific look that he or the director or the cinematographer want to achieve. So how do you, they, he, she, or it know? Well, they know by watching other films and taking inspiration from what they saw. And yes, it's perfectly okay to see other grades, other movies, and imitate them. I mean, even the Japanese say imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Chinese say it's the lowest form of shame.
Sorry about the naysayer. So yeah, you see something you like and you replicate it. Build on it. Improve it. That's the only way that we get progression. When you're watching a film, keep a note, or better still, a screenshot of that certain scene that inspired you, and then use them for your references and inspiration in your colour grade. Or, better still, you can go to ShotDeck. This website has the most extensive library of stills from like all the movies. Hello? Ugh, what happened then? Naysayers and interference are run. Yeah, so you can just mosey on over there and just browse through and select your best influences and use them as references for your grade. But today, we're going to do something different. What a lot of colour grade artists, sometimes including me, do often. And that is to grade without any idea, without any preconception, without any influences. Well, it's going to be like pre-production for a film versus guerrilla filming. Both of them always yield fantastic results sometimes. Now, I know this is supposed to be a horror.
It is a horror movie.
It is a horror, and I know I want Bleached Bypass.
What's Bleached Bypass, you idiot?
You're pushing it. You're pushing it, man. You're pushing it. Right, so Bleached Bypass is a form of actual film development that bypasses the bleaching stage. The result is that it leaves the silvery highlights intact and yields a more powerful, contrasty, pushed image. It makes the footage look gritty, reminiscent of film noir with its deep shadows and short-side chiaroscuro filming technique. So, with those stipulations out of the way, let's just raw dog it.
Whoa.
What?
We didn't ask you that.
Let's just hit it raw and see if we can make the film come to life. Okay, jumping into the grade. As you can see, each clip doesn't have any kind of colour grading on. Also, there's nothing on the timeline either. So, what I will show you is what I've done before. So we have this clip here. If I just move that out the way. We have this clip here. Now, as you can see, the camera moves and goes up as the character moves his head up as well. So what I've had to do is I've had to keyframe the camera, the positioning up here, because we're in 2.35, so it's a lot narrower. So the character's head would be in an unnatural position. That would be bad framing. So I've had to move the camera. So when you do that, you keyframe it by going to the first frame and you click here and you pretty much move it to where you want it to be. Then you go to the end and again, you move it to where you want it to be. So again, make sure the first time you put the first click on, make sure you press this. This enables it to be keyframed. So if you go to the keyframes section here, which is here, keyframes, you'll notice that you can see what I've actually done. You can see the movement from here and the camera goes to there. So when you put it on, it's in a linear fashion from point to point. So in reality, that actually makes your footage move in quite a jarring way. So we start, there's no ease in, it's just there
and it stops. It doesn't feel really natural. So to get around this, you highlight all of them, make sure that you are not on point, make sure that you're on the curves, if you will, right click, and then it's always on linear. So if you go to ease in and ease out, you'll see a lovely S come. And then when you have a look at that now, it eases in and eases to a stop. It looks a hell of a lot more natural. Okay, I've also included this adjustment clip because I'm using it to apply these 2.35 borders on the top and the bottom. I can't do it beforehand because I'm using this as part of the teaching lesson. So if I did that, it would also affect that, which I don't want it to. So I've just put it on this section here. So let's jump into the grade. Right, okay, let's go to project settings. Now today I feel a little bit frisky, I feel a little bit dirty, so I'm going to go for a bit of strange. So for the colour management, instead of going to DaVinci YRGB or colour manager, I'm going to go for Aces. Now I've only used this about 3 or 4 times before when I had someone who came and asked specifically for Aces. I don't know why they asked for Aces. But okay, what they asked for, they get. So it's on Aces, it's on version 2. I've put the input transform as inverse Rec 709. Now, the reason why I've done that is because of the footage I used earlier. So with the footage I used earlier, I recorded it on a regular DSLR. So it recorded in Rec 709. But with Aces, what it does is it transforms whatever footage into the correct color space, but it obviously needs to know your footage first. The camera that I use for this short film records in DNG. This is a RAW format. Thus, the character's identification and the correct color space it should be transformed into later is all within the metadata. So this doesn't apply. It doesn't matter what I put here. It'll always take the metadata from the camera. So this only applies to the footage I've got before, which is this footage here. So the output transform is where I want my destination viewing format to be viewed on, which is Rec 709. I've gone and made it broadcast safe, and I've changed the LUT to tetrahedral. Not that we'll be using any LUT, I don't think. I think we're just going to raw dog this one, aren't we? Master settings, 4K, and it's got a DNX HRSQ render cache format. It's the lowest and it's decent enough. Input scaling, DaVinci Neural Engine, the best. Sharper, the best, and I scale the full frame with crop, so whatever image that you put there automatically goes to the right size of the screen. So let's start the grade. General options, and check use S-curve for contrast. Now you use this because it helps the highlights roll off much smoother, not harsh, not sharp like a razor, cut you, make you bleed. And the shadows coalesce instead of crushing you like that lady that said no to you in the supermarket in front of everyone. Which, of course, didn't happen to me because I don't approach people. I mean, what did you expect? This is not 1990, you know. So with this method, the offset of the primaries can act as your pivot point, and the lift and the gamma can do the rest. Yeah. Okay, let's jump into the grade then. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create 2 nodes and a layer node. So these 2 nodes are there for, one's a saver node. You know, if you've been watching my videos, you know about that. That's there for me to go back in time and change anything really, really early on in the node tree if needed. And this node here is for track. So as you can see, the colors are quite vivid here. So later on, I'm going to compress the color information and the saturation of the colors because I'm going to go for that, well, what I would like as what I see as a horror look and a bit of green, so the colours will become a lot more close together. So if I need to track anything, this is the best place for me to do it because the colours are so vivid. So let's arrange these. First one is the bleached bypass. So we'll label that bleached. And the next one is modification. So I can change any properties about the bleached bypass. Well, to taste. So we'll call that mods. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is go to the top one and desaturate it with the primaries. And we go to the mixer node, right click, composite mode, and go to soft light. So as you can see, that is your legacy method of turning things to bleached bypass. It's really, really nice. I like that. There are many other ways. I can go into that in another video, but this is my preferred method. And because it's got this mods here and it seems to change things inside before it goes to the mixer node. So for the compensation, I can grab this gamma here and I can shift it. I can even shift it all the way so the shadows almost catch up to the highlights. If you can look at the parade, you can see the highlights pretty much staying still. So obviously I don't want to do that. I want to maintain the niceness of the bleach bypass, the high contrast. So I'll just play with this until I get it to, okay, about there's nice. Okay, now this is what I call the highlight fix. Okay, so what this one does is it alters the brightness for me. So I've also put in something, a dot here. And I can shift this to about there. Yeah. Move this a little bit. So you can see a lot of difference happens here. So if I can get that to about maybe here. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so next, let me get that down a little tiny bit. To about there. Yeah, okay, I like that. Okay, so next we're going to go to contrast. Call it contrast. Now remember in the beginning when I said make sure you check use S for contrast. So now we can use the offset and the point of pivot and the lift and gain separately. So let's add a little bit of gain to compensate for what we've just taken off and flattened. Okay, we want to go quite far here because we're going to take it down in a second. Okay. Bit more, bit more, bit up. Okay, I'll do there. And let's put a little tiny bit of juice in the mids. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so it's a little bit crispy there still. It looks good, but it's a bit crispy. So let's bring this down slightly, a bit more. Okay, now that's cooking. Okay. Okay, so as I said, this top line here is to normalize the footage, to get it into a place where I can start working on it before I apply my look. So let's go ahead and apply the look now. We're going to add saturation first. So to do this, I'm going to use a very obscure way of adding saturation. Note label. Okay, so this one, we change the color space to HSV. H is 1, S is 2, V is 3. So we want only saturation S. So we're going to take away channel 1, take away channel 3, and we're left with just the S channel. So we can use that to add saturation with the gain. Okay, so we'll take that up to about maybe here, see? Yep. Okay, and then we'll grab these and push a little bit of colour. And again. Add a little tiny bit there. See, this adds a strange green and purple hue depending on how much you pull the sliders to the shadows. Very subtle difference, but as they say, less is more, right? Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but you can see on the parade here. Okay,
Great. Okay. So the next node, we're going to qualify the skin. So what we'll do is we'll create another node, and we'll create 4 parallel nodes because we're going to do the eyes and the skin here in one go. So let's highlight that. Okay. So we'll call this one skin. Pigeon. It's getting. Okay, cool. Whatever. Okay, so let's go to the qualifier. So we're going to mask it first. So we'll use a mask. Okay, let's just use this one for now. They want to incorporate the neck also. Connected. So we'll then track the mask. Make sure it's on clip. And we don't need any rotation or perspective because he's just going to simply laugh maniacally. So track. Great. Okay, so we've got that track. Next thing to do is to qualify. Stretch this out slightly. There we go. So let's qualify the skin. And let's see what we've got. Okay, so we're going to finesse this a little bit. Good selection there. See, we can get, there's a bit of red in the hair that's being selected there, and I don't really want to take that out. So if we can move it across a little tiny bit, good, and we can take the mouth out too, because I don't want to select that either, because that's going to be red with the blood. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that for now. Let's get clean blacks, clean white, lovely. Denoise and blur. Okay, great. Let's come out of that. Okay, so now let's attack that skin tone. So a vampire is supposed to be pale. So this guy, let's make him pale. Let's push a bit of blues into. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, let's go about here. Make him corpse-like. And see if we can up. Okay, if we up it a little tiny bit, and then we desaturate it. Oh, wow. Okay, he's really bad. He can't even walk around in public like that. There's no way. So let's say we get that to about maybe 30. Let's bring it down again, because that saturation seems to do a hell of a job just on its own. Okay, so we've got this side here, and I've noticed that it's really affecting the highlighted side. So that's a problem with the mask. So let's go and have a look at the mask again. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's have a little play with this wheel again. Bring it up slightly to up there. And then let's desaturate it further. Okay. That's more convincing. That's a lot more convincing. Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay, so we'll leave it like that for now, and let's go for the eyes. So we'll call this one the right eye. Okay, so we're going to mask the eye first. Now, when we mask, we want to use as less points as possible, because if we have to alter that mask later on, oh, it's a pain to do it so many times. I'm not going to use the magic mask on this. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. So let's have a look-see what we can get. I'm going to do the extremities of the eye, because I'm going to sell the effect by pulling in the mask
so we can have that outline, that black outline that you get on eyes that define the actual eyeball, the actual eye color rather. Okay, so let's make sure we get right to the edges. It's hard to see in the shadows, but it's all good. It's all good. It's harder to see mistakes then too. Okay, so we need to now track it. Make sure it's on clip. Now we want perspective and rotate here. We just want to get a really, really detailed track because it's quite a small area, as you can see. So let's have a go and see what happens. Okay, that seems to be okay. So let's come out of there. Take the mask off, zoom it a little tiny bit, and then let's start colorizing. We're going to use lift and push some reds into there. Okay, we want to avoid glowing because we're going for vampire here, not superheroes like Superman or Homelander. We want to go for red, and as blood red as possible. There you go. Okay, so we're going to sell the eye effect now, because if I just showed you that, you'd think, okay, you know how to mask. But no, we're going to sell it by putting that black ring around the eye. So we can go to mask, take this off, soften it by maybe 0.1. Okay, and then we're going to bring the mask in so we can see that black line on the outside. What's that look like? Okay, I like that. I like that. That's cool. I like it. Only problem is the speculas are from here. You can't really make it out that much, but let's make it as convincing as possible. The speculas here are red. Now that wouldn't happen ordinarily. They'll be the same color as the light, i.e. this color here. So we're going to create another node from the skin, sorry, from the eye, and we're going to drag the alpha over to it as well. So this is only going to display the alpha. Okay, so we'll zoom in, and you can see that the highlights are a lot lighter than the others. So what we're going to do to qualify that is go to take off the saturation, take off the hue, and we're going to have a look and see if we can key just the lightest part, which is there. Okay, great. Blur, bit one. Okay, we could probably get a bit more. Okay, about there. Yep. Okay, so let's get out and we'll push the opposite color of red into it, which is blue. Okay. Get as white as possible, and then we'll increase slightly the exposure of that with the wheel. Okay, what happens if we desaturated some? It's bluish, but okay, about there. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see if I can just get a little tiny bit more towards white. Okay, that's cool. Let's have a look. Brilliant. Okay, and what does it look like? Okay, I'm happy with that. That's great. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to label that specular. And we'll do the same thing and call it left eye. Why? Because the eye is right. So we're going to take that, copy it. Now, the reason why I'm copying this is because I want to copy the exact color values that I've used. So I'll copy it and paste it to the left eye. Obviously, I'll need to recall it left eye. Again, why? Because the eye is right. Great. So we've got that selected. Let's go. Notice the way his eyes gone really, really red now. It's because you've got a double effect on it. It's happened twice. So what we do is we just take that, simply move it away. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to go to here, reset, turn the node off, and we're going to mask it again. Again, using as least dots as possible and masking the extremities of the eye. Now, I do know that there's some kind of a weird marbling effect on this side of the eye, so I'm going to go on the inside here. There. Okay, and bring that up slightly. There. And we'll go to track. Keep all of those checked and track. Okay, is that good? Seems to be. Okay, so we'll know about it in a second. So we will take off the mask. We'll turn back on the node and we can see how it looks. So what I will do is I'll go in and I'll change that globally, not on frame because that'll do each individual changes. I'll do it on the clip. So I'll go back to mask and I will change and make sure that all of these sit in the area that I want. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to increase the softness again. Okay, and we're going to bring the eyeball in to sell it with that black ring around the eye. Right, it looks quite good. Okay, and we don't need to do the specular on this one because it's already pretty much white because it's barely visible because it's at the top of his eye from that angle. Okay, so how does it look? It stays in place. That's awesome. Brilliant. Okay, that's great. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to relight the scene slightly. So we're going to change the exposure and bring the subject out more and make it a little bit more dark. So let's add a node here and we'll call this back highlights or back exposure or backlight. I love that song. It's amazing. Right, backlight. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to mask our subject. Bring that in for now. Put it to the shape that we want. Okay, and then we're going to add quite a bit of softness. It's about there. We can mess with that in a moment. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll invert the mask because we want the background, not him. And then we're going to HDR and we're going to take the exposure down. Okay, before, after. Okay, that's done a great job. He's really popped out there. That's really good. It's really good. I like that. Okay. So we don't need to track that because it doesn't move, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay, so we're going to create another node, and what we want to do is to affect him, but we're going to reduce him, but at a slightly different exposure. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a node which enables us to select everything that the last node didn't do, which will be an outside node. So again, anything that's faded in or faded out, this one will do the opposite, fade out or fade in. So we'll get this one and we'll lower the exposure, putting them really in the shadows. That's making it really dark. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful, man. Okay. And you can see the effect it's had on the eyes as well. Okay. So we're going to go back to the eyes, right eye, take this off and go back to the primaries, and then let's mess with the levels first. Oh, I like that. It's kind of, it's gone past red. It's gone sort of transparent, isn't it? I like that. Okay, let's do the same for the left. That's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Okay, very strange. Why has it gone that colour? Okay, so let's take the saturation down a little tiny bit. Okay. I like that. I was going for red, but as I said, I'm just eyeballing this. I don't know what really I want, but I actually like the colour of that. I really do. Yeah. Does red make him look more ferocious, I wonder? Can we squeeze a little bit in there? Right, so now let's introduce a bit of green into the shadows. Now, if you've watched any other my videos, you'll know what green signifies. See, this is a horror film. There's a difference between a horror film and an action movie and a snuff movie. This is a horror movie. So what I'm going to do here is introduce green into the shadows, but not too much. Now, what that green means is it dictates that there has been some form of beating that's happened inside that film. Someone's been licked in the face, in the nose, and snot came out and permeated the whole scene, and it's gone into the shadows. That's what the green means. It means somebody has at some point taken a beating. Now, there has to be a level of green. You can't put too much green in there. Otherwise, it's not a horror movie anymore. It's some kind of violent flick, isn't it? So let's go and put the green in. I'll go to the HDR and I'll use the dark. And then we'll pull it towards green. See what we've got. See if we can get a bit more. No. That's far too much. You see that there? That is a significant beating. This is not a horror movie anymore. So let's go right the way back again and just give it a little tiny hint, a preview. Okay, great. Okay, so as you can see, it's affected the skin, but luckily we qualified the skin before. So let's go back in and let's take the gamma and push it towards ungreen, which is what? Purpley blue. Okay, so I'm going to not do that there. I'm going to do it here, just to bring him out slightly, make his face a little bit brighter so we can see that paleness. Awesome. Okay, so let's see what that does. Okay, that's done a nice job with adding the green in there. Great. Okay, so we go back to the HDR. The dark here, we can see what's being affected by this one here. So if I was to bring this down some and affect a little bit less, so it's really deep and not letting it go too much into the shadows, and then we lift it up slightly. Okay, all the way up, you can see how much green is infected. So bring it to, I'm looking at the couch in the background, and as soon as that starts going green a little tiny bit, we'll back off. Now, I do want him to be slightly green, you see, because that gives me the pallor of the undead. Like he's been rotting for some time and there's algae or mold growing on him, which is good because he's a horrible vampire. So this is cool. Let's have a look at the skin again. Let's go on the HDR. Let's have a look and see what we can do with the shadows here. Slightly get the green off. Wow, that is really, really bad. That's a scary guy. Okay, I think that's okay. It's definitely a vampire, isn't it? Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's all to taste. Okay, so we'll call this one outside. No, we'll call it outside. And then we'll call this one beating. Because we know that this here has let us know that this film obviously contains significant beating. We can tell from the snot in the frame. Okay. That's it. Okay. Let me have a little look see. Okay, so we'll feather that out a little bit more. There. Okay, that's great. I like it. It's taking a bit of green off him, but that's good. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, so we might be able to go back in now with the skin and see if we can lower down his complexion back down to discreet. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is this is my utility row. So if I go down here, I'm going to add sharpness. So what I do for this sharpness is I don't usually do it the normal, regular way that has been done before. What I do with this one is I go to the qualifier, I deselect hue, I deselect saturation, and I will engage the highlight so I can see what I'm selecting. I will then go across until I start seeing differences. Okay, I can see his face there, which is what I want to affect. I'm going to increase the L-soft a lot. And I'm going to bring it in so it's just pretty much his face that I'm going to affect, and the things in the background. I'm going to leave the clothes because we don't need to sharpen those edges, just the details of things that we can see. And our eyes are attracted to the light, so more the highlights. Okay, so I'll then go to your regular sharpness, choose sharpness, change the core softness to 50, and stop. And the levels to 50. Zoom in and go ahead and start sharpening. Boom, way too much. Whoa. But you can see how that is quite significantly different to regular sharpening everything in the whole image. So let's go to about here. Let's have a little look. Okay, good. It makes the highlights a little crispy. So that's about there. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, about 4.6. Okay, great. Okay. I'm not sure if you'll be able to make that out on YouTube, but you can tell by the parade, if you watch. Off, on. Beautiful. Give me a little bit more. 0.46. Okay, I won't go any more than that, that's fine. Okay. So for film grain, I'm going to add dehancer, but don't worry, I'm not going to use any of the colors, any of the film emulation. I'm just going to use it specifically for the grain because it's my favorite type of grain. So I'll go ahead and open that. And I will turn this to aces. Because we're in aces, aren't we? I'll go to the bottom and I'll disable all tools and head straight for the film grain. I'm going to use a very fine one. Okay, so I'm going to go in and turn it down slightly. Although I need to add a little extra more if I'm going to put it on YouTube. Because it absolutely murders grain, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, so at this point, what I normally do is when I grade something, at this point, I will pause it right here and I'll walk away because I've been doing this for quite some time, sitting in the dark. And what I will do is I'll come back and I'll reevaluate my grade and adjust it accordingly before I go and put it onto any other clips. So I'll see you in 1 second, but in my time, in about an hour. Thank you. Okay, so I was really excited about this grade, so it's taken a long time to get me dinner there. So what I've just done is I've just put the meat in the blender with some porridge, blended it all up and drank it. So here I am, back in. So, right, coming back and evaluating this shot, I can see that the skin is it's a bit too purpley for me, and it's a little bit desaturated where the red isn't so red in his hair. So I'm going to add a node on the skin, connect the alpha, so we're affecting just a mask, and I will go to this here and I will push a little bit of skin color, regular skin color,
back in. Okay, so that's taking away that purple tinge. Let's see. Yeah, I hope you can see that. Okay. Not so much Nosferatu, more so regular vampire. Okay. So I'm also going to add a little more grain. That grain is quite fine, so I don't like that anymore. I want 35, so I want it to be a little bit chubbier. Okay, so the specular on this eye, I notice, is a little bit funky. So I'm going to go and see if I could do anything about that. Okay, so I'm not going to, actually, let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to key the blood. So we'll go to this node here. And the reason why I'm going to this node is because this node has very good color detail. So we can go in there and we'll have a better chance of keying the blood. So the first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to mask off the mouth. There, 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 and there. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, key the red. Feels like a decent key, yeah? Okay, so let's open this little tiny bit. Okay, so yeah, about there, that seems fine. We've got quite a bit of the teeth there and the dots that we saw as well on the lip, so I'm very happy with that. Let's continue. Clean black, clean white, blur, and denoise. These are great because when you key things and then you let it play normally, you can get a lot of dancing dots, which are areas where it has been keyed and which is not. So when you put the denoise and blur, it softens that effect or completely nullifies it. So let's have a look and see what we've got. Okay, so let's start with the lift and push red in there. Okay, and bring this down slightly. Okay, that's beautiful. That's a lovely colour of blood. Great. Let's see what it looks like when it moves. Okay, that is great. Okay, now, what I use the timeline for in cases such as this is instead of going back and making minuscule changes to each and every node, which can have domino effect on other nodes. So, for example, if I keyed a certain color, then I change a node before it, which alters the color, then it's going to key something else. So what I use the timeline for is, think of it as you've made your portrait, you've put it in a frame and you've hung it on the wall. Now you want to put a sheet of glass over it to protect it, but then also to add its own kind of effects too. And this is what the timeline is for me. It's the sheet of glass, which I can then alter to enhance my portrait. So in the beginning, I wanted the bleached bypass look, but it's very often that when you get that bleached bypass look, you kind of pull back on it. You start decreasing the contrast because it's too strong, but it's important to know and to stay with it. If that's what you want, then go for it. It is a look, it is stylized, and there's no right or wrong. If that's your grade, that's your grade. I wanted the bleached bypass look, and now we've sort of moved away from it. So I'm going to reintroduce that instead of changing it in the nodes in the actual main clip. So I will do that by having a look to see what difference there is between exposure and gain. So here's the gain first. Okay. Yes. Yes. Mid down slightly. Okay. Now we're getting that look back. Okay, so we've got, if you look at the parade down here, you've got quite a bit of a lift on the highlights. I want to see if I can push the reds first. So what I'll do is I'll select the red on the hair here and use hue versus hue and change that to as red as can be. So let's see what we can do with that. There we go. Okay. Okay, great. We'll probably come back to that once we put it onto the other character. Okay, so now it's time to copy this grade onto the other character. We can go to this one, but we punched in here. So let's go to this one so we can see more of the shot. So we'll just simply middle click and copy the whole grade over. Obviously, we're not going to need to key the eye or a specular or anything here. So we're going to temporarily disengage that. We'll take this backlight, reset, and the outside node, reset, because we'll do that independently on its own. Okay, saturation and everything else is fine. Okay, let's call this one grain. Okay, so for this one, this the highlight fix. Okay, so the backlight, let's tackle that first. Let's get a mask. Okay, so we will then go to exposure and take that down, reversing the mask. Okay, that seems to be a decent amount there. Erase this and then create a node again, add node, outside node. So that'll give us the mask and obviously the alpha of the correct shape. And we'll use that to bring down the exposure of our character. Notice how we can't see anything details in the highlights there. But when we bring it down here, we can. Right. Okay. Maybe a little tiny bit more here. Okay. Let's compare that with the other shot. Okay, so we evidently need to key the skin. So we'll erase this mask and we'll create another. And we'll look inside and go to the qualifier. So let's finesse these a little bit and keep only the skin tones. And we will feather the mask. And we'll push skin tones. So we'll go to camera, push nice fleshy color into our character here. Okay, and take this off. Okay, let's go back to his outside and raise him up a little bit. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. That's quite delicious indeed. Okay, so because this character's got a different background, we need to do a few different things. So for the look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right eye, reset, get rid of this completely, get rid of that, and we're going to rename this the cupboard. And with the cupboard, what we're going to do here is mask this cupboard in the background. It's actually red lace, but we can't see that because it's so dark. So we're going to bring that out a little bit so you can make out what it is and take the saturation down a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to feather out the mask. Okay, so that gives us a little something in the background to look at, as opposed to complete darkness. Great. On the highlight fix, sorry, the background, let's take it down slightly, because we've just introduced more things in the background. And we're going to do the same thing with this side of him too. I'm going to mask it. Add some gamma. Whoops. Inverse the mask. Add some gamma. Oh, the mask is not closed, that's why. Remember I said you have to make sure that that line comes, and that makes sure that the mask is closed. There you go. So, there we go. Okay, so if we get the lift, we might be able to see the part of his shoulder. As we can see by the scopes that it is quite crushed there. Okay, I just want to be able to see that other shoulder instead of it being just a jet black part. Okay, so we take the mask and we switch it off, and we now feather the mask. So effectively, we've just relit that shot. Brilliant. Okay, take this off and let's compare them with the scopes. I think that's great. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Okay, the reds on the wall, that's great. Okay, so now what we have to do is label that one mouth, and we do not need that mouth on this guy over here. Over here we need it because it makes the blood in the mouth really prevalent, and I like that. And we'll label this one skin fix. Okay, so we'll take this off. Let's have another quick look at his skin. Okay, I'm pretty okay with that. Let's see what happens if we drop the saturation a little tiny bit. Come back to corpsey looking. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Right, we'll go ahead and save it there. And we'll now put these on every other clip and change the little unique modifiers. Okay, I'm very happy with that grade. So all we need to do now is just copy that onto the other shots. For example, click, click. No, that's the adjustment clip. You got to be careful about that. So uncheck that. So clip, click, 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 copy. So we're taking this multi-section thing off, and let's have a look at them independently. Okay, so we can see here that the mask, it's not affecting that side of his face. So that is due to the mask. So if we make sure that this is on clip, we can go and change the mask. What I should have done is I should have used a big power window, really. Okay, so once we've got that out, we can go and track it. Okay, so let's just look over that. That's done a remarkable job. That's great. See these parts here at the back? That's okay because you see the way they're faded, they're fading into the background. So that's not a problem whatsoever. And it's also behind. Okay, so here, go onto frame now because we're going to change individual pieces. So we're going to take the whole mask and we're just going to move it over to here. And then from here, I'm going to move it again and alter. Okay, it's probably done that because I've added rotation in there, you see, and it's got a little bit skew with. But it's all good. This is resolve. And this is what we love doing, right? Right, okay, over there, move it slightly. Now, these kind of adjustments you can do on short films because there's a finite number of clips, but I graded a feature-length film, and to do things like this, there's also a fast turnaround as well. To do things like this, it's very tedious. So what you want to do really is do things that select certain colours and try to avoid masks as much as possible. You do get the odd scene, obviously, where it's quite unique and things need to be masked, but on long, hard projects, try not to use masks for things like this. Really, you try and get the whole colour, qualify the skin, and then put it across the whole colour range globally. So there you go.
Okay, let's take the off that and let's play it and see. Okay, so we can see a shadow here, so we'll need to mask the backlight. So let's put it on so we can see the mask. Okay, so I'm not going to track this one. I'm just going to stick this in this position here. Because if we do mask it, every time he moves, it will alter the exposure with the background and with his face. So we don't want that. We want to keep it. So we need to put that on clip, move it into position here, and let's have a look. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, very good. Okay, now that's all that needs doing on that one. This one here, let's have a look at, see, just to make sure it's 100% okay. I'm going to have a look and see what I altered, which was minus 0.74. I'm going to erase that, create an outside node, and change the exposure to minus 0.74. Okay. And when we play through that, that's perfectly fine. That's great. Okay. This one here, see the way it says adjustment clip, it can be very confusing because it's actually the adjustment clip. If I go there, you see the way that's highlighted? But it shows the actual clip in it. So a lot of the times you can click on that. And if you did click on that, you'd think, oh, why isn't that copied? And then you'd copy that over and you'd destroy your whole grade. It now copies that adjustment clip and that affects everything underneath it. So you have to be very careful with that. So just to not confuse anybody, I'm going to take that out for a second. There. Okay. So the next one here, we'll copy this. Okay, so that's ours, and we copy from this middle click. There, it's in. Okay, so we'll copy it onto another one. So we'll take the last one, copy. Okay, so you'll see that the backlight needs to be moved slightly over there. You're not going to notice these differences between camera shots. Okay, we've also got to pay attention to this cupboard as well because it's affecting the side of his head. Okay, so we'll sort that mask out in a second. The outside node should have moved along perfectly with this backlight, but just to be safe, I'm going to erase it and create another outside node and make sure the alpha is connected. Okay, and I'm going to apply the same minus 0.75 and make sure that that's in place. Okay, great. Now, this problem that we've got here is down to the keying, the mask of the skin. So if we take this mask, let's put it to the very beginning, which it is. Great. We'll mask it. Okay, we'll track it, but this time we'll take off perspective and rotate and zoom, and then we'll track. Okay, so we'll do that ourselves, move it manually, put it on frame, move it over. Okay, and then we'll have a little look by pulling it across, pulling it along. Okay, slightly turn. We're on frame, so if you look at the shape of the mask there and look at it there, it changes and it changes there. Okay, so it's not globally affecting the whole mask. So let's carry on and have a look. Okay, so here, I'll move the mask up slightly here. Yeah. Move across again. What I generally do, instead of, if you have to mask things on pretty much every single frame, this is a trick that I do. Let's see if you've got a position here, which is the finish, and then you've got the start. Go in the middle. Change it, place it in this position. Go into the middle of those two, that and that. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Go into the middle of them two. Okay, that's fine. And then if you want, you can do it again. Middle, middle, middle. But I think that should be okay here. Yeah, because remember, we've only got the key on the skin. So all them red things overlaps, they're not going to change anyway with the mask.
So that looks completely fine. Okay, the very last one will move and stick there. So that's great. Okay, so now we need to address this cupboard. Yeah, there is quite a lot. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll grab that. Let's have a look at the mask. Let's see it. See here and here, it's not really affected. It's more here. That's okay. So what we'll do is we'll go to the beginning of the frame, keep it on frame, and we'll drag this one away from his head. So it's not really affecting it. You can go inside the object as well, remember, because it is softened. Okay, see the red on the background in the wall? Not too much, because you don't want to really affect that much so it becomes noticeable. Okay, and then you'll take the whole mask and move it. So see what it does to the couch? So you take the whole mask and move it to about there. Get that straight. And as you can now see, that is hardly affecting his head at all. But it's still got the cupboard there. You could go in a little bit more if you wanted to, because the side of it's pretty much black anyway, but I'm going to leave it there. And then I'm going to mask it to make sure it stays there. Track it, sorry. Okay, happy with that. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the next one. Okay, check it. Okay, and this one. Okay, brilliant. That's great. So let's go ahead and save that. Now let's do the same thing to Mr. Vampire over here. So we'll take that and we'll copy it over to the first clip, this one over here. So we'll select it, middle mouse, copy it right over there. Okay, so the first thing is evident. We need to address the skin. So we'll take the skin, move it in the position that we want, make sure it's on clip. The side of his face doesn't really need to here, so let's just bring that in a little bit. Oops. Okay, we want to lengthen this so we get his throat and his chin. Okay, so that's in position. So we'll now track it. We'll keep the perspective and not the rotate. Okay, so we will look and see what's going on with this. On the very last one, we need to move it. So we'll put it on frame now so we can do frame manipulation. Okay, that's there. While we're here, we'll erase the skin, sorry, we'll erase the eye and specular because he hasn't got his vampire eyes at this moment. So we'll turn them off there, and you'll see that these red things here, they're the actual eyes before they've been tracked. Okay, so that's all off. So let's concentrate on the skin. So that's in position now. Keep it on frame. Go back. Move it slightly. About there. Okay, that's covered his own skin. Okay, so did you see something there? You saw that when he brought his hand up, his hand is regular, normal colored. So what we're going to have to do is apply the skin transformations to the hand as well. So if I go and click on that and then go to mask, see the way his fingers are miscolored? That's because the mask on the skin is affecting that area, yeah? So what we need to do is put the mask on the hands, and when we get to that area, back the mask off and don't let them overlap, otherwise it'll apply double the effect. So skin, copy that, put it there. We could actually put these on the same node, but it'll be easier actually to do it like this. Okay, and then the skin there, copy to that. Okay, so now we just need to reset the mask and do the hand again. I did it the wrong way around. Okay. Disable that so we can know where we're messing with. Okay. Click and let's start. Okay, so that one is going across there. So I'm going to stop there and go down, down, and then that's it there. Okay, so switch that node back on again, and then we'll see, because we've copied it, it becomes the same color. Now, if I go in a little bit closer and actually put this on also, I wonder if it'll let us do both of them. No. Okay, we can see that that comes across there. You can see where the mask isn't covering. Yeah. So if I go back to skin and take the mask and bring it across to make sure it covers, whoops, it covers them parts. Go back there. Okay, here. There. Okay, we have to get the mask and make it soft as well. So to make it soft, make sure the track is on clip, and we'll soften the whole thing out a bit. See that just for now. Okay, then we'll manually track this hand. So we'll go to frame, move it slightly just to put a point there. Remember that half trick that I was talking about last time? So we'll go to the beginning of it, which is here. Move it to here. Move that to encompass the hand. Go to the end. Okay, I can see a definitive line there where it stops. That should be really feathered out. I've forgotten to do that. So we go there, click on that, and I will also go to skin, and I will make sure it's on clip and soften that mask out. Okay, see the line here? You'll now see it slowly disappear. Okay, so that's gone. So we'll go back to this one. I've copied it so it's called skin. So what I'll do is I'll rename it again to hand. Okay. Go back to here, go back to frame, individual movements. So we've got beginning, middle-ish, end. So let's go to the middle here and move the mask accordingly. Move it out the way so you can see where the fingers are discolored to natural colored, and then bring it in so it covers them both. Okay, so that covers it there. Move this one slightly and we're good. Go to this one here in the middle. Okay, this one here. Okay, so let's have a little play and see. Okay, move that up slightly there. Okay, and then let's have a look at it. That's good. Okay, and the mouth, we'll need to definitely mask the mouth. Okay, so let's cover that mouth. See, if we cover the hair, see what it does to the hair? So we want to make sure we miss as much of the hair as possible. Okay, so we have it there. Then we are going to track it. Okay, so that's perfectly fine up until we get the cup to the lips. Once we get the cup to the lips, we're on frame. So we're going to now adjust the mask. So it's not doing anything to the cup anyway because it's not keyed. It is on the reflection there, but it's not really keyed for that because it's qualified. So we'll just take it up to there. We'll carry on going up until we can't see it anymore. We'll come out and we'll drag the mask off. So it's not even in the shot anymore. Back, forward, okay? So we'll keep it going all the way forward and pull it down again because it wants to go back up there because of this point over here. So we'll bring it down, bring it across, The cup never comes down on this shot, so it's possible for us to just simply leave it off. Check that. Yep, that's fine, because it doesn't really move that much. So that lighting can stay exactly the same. Also with that and also with that. Okay, that's good. So let's go to our next clip and we'll copy the last one onto it. Select the clip, middle mouse over the one you want to copy from. Boom, you got it. Okay, so this is punched in a little bit more, isn't it? Oh no, not yet, not yet. We've got that coming. We got that coming. Okay, so with this one, we need to adjust the hand and the mouth again. So let's start with the mouth. Let's put it on frame. Click it once or move it slightly so you get the points here, and then move it across until, so it's better if we take this off. So this is off screen. Move it across until we can see the mouth again, which is there. So we'll take it now and we'll stick it there. We'll go one before and we'll take it off. So it just suddenly jumps there. Okay, now we can punch in there. Right, that's done. We'll need to also do the hand. Let's start at the beginning. Click on the hand and we can see that the mask is off there. So make sure we're on frame. Grab the mask, bring it over the hand. Remember to move it off because the other one comes down here. Remember the one for the face? That comes down here across these fingers. So we have to make sure that our mask goes there. Frame. Okay, we'll move it with the arrow keys going forward. Now, again, even if I was to pull that mask by mistake and cover the couch, it's not really going to bother it that much because it's not keyed to get that. The qualifier is pretty much keyed for the color of the hands. Okay, so don't be afraid. And if you do make any kind of mistakes in there, remember, you can always just go back. Okay, so that's off there. Let's take it completely off. Next, this one here. Copy from the last one. Select what you want it to be copied from. Make sure it's okay. Click what you want to do. Middle mouse over the one you want to copy it from. There you go. So we don't need the hand anymore because he's no longer going to bring his hand into the frame, so that can just go. Okay, so we have the mouth to track. So we'll put it on. The mouth is down here. Bring this up. As we make the way in. He's going to speak now, so he's going to open his mouth a little bit more. So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it auto track and then we're going to alter it. So tracking any clip or frame, this is going to do it automatically and track. So we put it on frame now because we're going to do this manually as well. So we'll go to the middle. Okay, see the top lip? It's got a little bit of blood there. So we'll put that here and widen it, get it away from the hair as well, and take a bit more of his mouth. Okay, so then we'll mouse over it and follow it and see if it's okay. Okay, see the hair on the side over there? Yeah, just about made it, didn't we? Just to make sure. Let's move it up a little bit more. Great. The outside mode. Minus 0.92. I always, if I adjust this one
Every time I go to the outside mode, I know it automatically does it, but I like to do this anyway. I like to memorize what values I had and then copy them. 0.92. Zoom in. See the difference that's made? The grade. That looks like real blood. And then, don't get me wrong, what I was drinking to play the part was real blood. But this one looks even more real. I mean, damn. Okay, mouse over it, see what happens. Okay, that's good. Great. So we've done the mouth. Okay. And anything else? This one. Okay, so this is the one that's punched in. So the masks automatically grow as well. So let's copy from here. Right. Mouth. I think this is fine. It's not much of a movement, is there? Okay. Next. Copy. Okay, so this is the part where he opens his eyes. So this one at the very end, you can see that he's starting to open them. And this one is where we need to start putting the eyes where they go red. So let's do the right eye first. Let's go all the way in. Undo the right. Click on it. We can see the mask. Okay, so we'll take the things off so we can see where we're putting things a little bit better. Okay, so it's about there. This is just the softness, the inside. Remember, it's the white that you have to line up. So we go inside. Make sure it's on frame. We'll do each one individually. So you can see that the eye's there and the lid goes across here. So what we're going to do is move these so they're level with the lid. Remember when I said make as few clicks as possible? Now imagine if you had have made like 92,000 clicks here to get a perfect circle and didn't use the Eclipse or something. You'd be here for like ever. I used to do this with After Effects years ago and it was the most tedious thing in the world. Especially when someone wanted VFX for a film. Oh. Okay, these ones here as well, we need to just get them and stick them in. Once we hide everything, we'll be able to see what changes we need to make. Click on something else and see. Okay, that looks good. The other one hasn't opened yet, so we're good with that. So that's one. Next, slightly wider. Okay, so let's take this off again. Oops, wrong one. This one here. And let's start repositioning the mask. Now you can see which of these corresponds to which dots. I don't know why it messes it up like this, but it is what it is. As long as you know how to fix it, we'll fix it. Because there ain't a problem that we can't fix. There ain't a problem that we can't fix. That's what Tuna made ages ago. You want to hear it? Let me know in the comments. Looks good. I want to move these in slightly though. Get that black ring around the eye a little tiny bit more. Okay, good. Next frame. Okay, I've moved 2 frames there. And I'm going to rely on the mask opening itself from one point to the other. I really don't know how the hell these things, this in-out thing gets so messed up. Because all of these things it's accusing me of, I didn't do them. I didn't move any of them. Okay, turn this off. No, I'll do it manually. Okay, as you can see here, the black rings are on the eye, but I want to make it a little tiny bit more prominent in some areas. There. Okay, so I put that in a couple of clicks forward because I wanted to anticipate that it would predict how my eye was opening from the last point to the other. So let's have a look and see if it did it well. Yeah, okay. So that one's open a little bit. Second, third. Okay, let me take this off a minute. See if that's really open. Yeah, it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do there is it's a bit prominent, it's a bit harsh. So I'm going to go in there and, oh, no wonder. The insides are all completely crazy. I don't know why it does that. I swear I didn't do it. Okay. Okay. And then from there, we will track forward. So only forward, not backward, otherwise we'll erase these ones that we've done. So we'll just go there, forward. Okay, let's see how the movement was. Yeah, okay, good. I want to globally, by clip, take down the outside, inside, to make that black thing in the eye a little bit more evident. Okay, so 0 goes into there. Okay, I think that's fine. Okay, let's have a look at that compared to the last one. Okay, we'll have a look and see why that's different later. Okay, so that one's pretty much done. Don't know why it keeps on bringing this every time I come off. Okay, that's pretty much done. So now I've just got to undo the specs. Ah, that's the reason why. Brilliant. Okay, so just to make sure everything's okay, I will turn that off, take the spec on this one, copy, and paste it to that one. Yeah, that was the same. Okay, so now we'll turn to the other eye. Start at the beginning where it opens, left eye. Why? Because the eye is right. Okay, so at first, there's nothing there, so that can pretty much just get yeeted off screen. Make sure we're on frame. Okay, move it forward. Okay, so that's where it opens, so we now need it. Put it roughly in place, zoom right in. Line up. Okay, it's about there. Actually, I'll do the end, so we know that I'll always try and find this shape, which is there. Bring that in slightly and fix these things. I wonder what happens if I go to the mask and then take this off, reset, and then do it again. Okay, that's cool. Okay, we'll leave it like that for now. And that's on frame, so we'll go on clip to make sure that's a global change. Up there. Okay, let's go to the other ones also and do the same thing here. So now we can go to frame, because we're back to individual frames now. Wonderful thing about masks are just, when you get into complicated things with masks, you can do anything with them.
You're limited only by your imagination. Okay, there. Right, let's go to the end. And I'm going to track. And then I'm going to pause it before it gets to the very end ones I've just done already. Pause. I might not have done it in time. Okay, so we'll just mouse over this and make sure it stays roughly in place. Okay, there we have a bit of a problem. Okay, so let's go to the end of the problem and move it. Make sure we're on frame. Yes, we are. Okay, so it's there. Let's go in. Let's take this off so we can see it a bit better. See, it's a good idea to do them half points near the halfway points. It saves you so much time. You allow the computer to predict where the movement is going to be. Okay, so we're ready on that. So let's uncheck it. So let's have a look at the effect. Take the mask off. So we'll add a little bit. We go to clip now. We'll do these to globally. Take that stupid thing off again. Okay, so we've got the black ring around the eye. You see something strange with the right eye there. What's going on? No, it's fine. Okay, so it'll probably be something to do with the color. So we'll fix that in a sec. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look and see what that looks like. Okay. Something's wrong with the blink. Okay, great. Yeah, I remember. You had to go and do that, didn't we? So from the first one, it's the left eye. It's not open, if I recall. Yeah, it's not open. So we can take that completely off. Move it across one. Now it's open. So we can now bring it and place it. Sorry, I need to take that off. Did something wrong. A terrible mistake. A terrible mistake. It's got to be on frame. The amount of times I've done this when I was learning it and forgot about frame and clip, and I did like maybe 3 minutes of 25 frames per second rotoscoping and forgot frame, and it killed me. Okay, so that's off. Okay. Next, the eye is open. So we can bring it back. Remember, it's the white ones that you've got to line up. Yeah. Okay, and then bring these down. And the next frame. I'm intentionally missing that highlight there on this specular on the eye to see if I can get away with it going out as white. Okay, let's have a look, see. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the left eye, let's see if I can cheat by getting in and dodging. I want to dodge the specular rather than draw another one in with a node. What do you think? This one's a bit bright, that one's a little bit... I'm going to take the brightness down on this one, actually, because it's not that it's easier, but it is, but that's not the reason. Okay, so the last thing to do here is my last finishing touches that I will put on to affect globally the different clips. So we have
this shot here, and here's the adjustment clip, and that's what it's there for, because that goes across the whole of the clips. So the unfortunate thing is if I apply anything here, I'm not able to view what it looks like on the other clips. So for example, if I'll click here and go to gain and drag that up, if I go to this clip and think, oh, that's too much, I go back to the adjustment clip to change it. I can't see it because I can't view it, because every time I clip on that, it goes to the actual clip and not the adjustment clip. So what I do is I will create a couple of cuts, and what I put on here, I will copy onto here. Okay, so we're on the first one. So we're on the adjustment clip. That's great. Okay, so creating a node, great. Okay, HDR. I want to go back to that bleached bypass, because if you remember, that's how I wanted to start the grade off. A lot of the time, it's easy for you to start with the bleached bypass and then suddenly come back to regular normal. So with that in mind, I'm going to increase the light. I'm going to play with the parameters to fall off. Okay, and how does that look when I copy this and paste it here? Okay, it's a little bit more bleached bypass looking, but I wanted to a little tiny bit of down here. Okay, and how does that? That looks okay, but let's see what that looks like. Copy that and paste it on the other one. Okay, that's not too bad at all. I thought it would have absolutely destroyed the highlights on his head. So I'm just going to push that a little tiny bit more. So I think about there. Okay, and then copy this. Paste it to here. Okay. I think that's about as much as I want to go to there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the other one is that I'm going to reduce the beating, reduce the greens, because there is a little tiny bit of green that's permeated onto his flesh. So I'm going to address that by putting it on a different node, and then I'm going to go to the shadows, no, the darks, and see if we can get a little bit of that green out, have a little bit less of a beating. We want a horror, not violent movie or snuff. Okay, you can see by the waveform there that it's doing quite the job. That's fine. Okay, so let's copy that and let's paste it onto the other. Oh, that's nice. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. Because I do want it to be dark. I do want it to be bleached bypass. So I think that is it. I'm very happy with that. Let's have a little look, see what it looks like at the very end. Thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that grade. Okay, so I'm very happy with that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is copy that all the way across to all the clips. Thank you very much. That was quite a chore. That was quite a lengthy video. If you stuck with it all the way to the end, thank you very much. If you've just jumped in and learned how to do something, thank you very much. I hope you have learned something. I know I did. I love doing this. I just do this every single day so I can make these videos forever. So I'll be eagerly making the rest of the short film and more, and coming back and giving you masterclasses again and in different subjects. So whatever you want, write it down in the comments and I'll be more than happy to make a video for you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.